Welcome to the Israel Now Forum webinar series. I'm Maura Schreier-Fleming, Chairman of the Israel Now Forum Speakers Committee. The Israel Now Forum is scheduled for November 16th in Plano, Texas. We want to thank our webinar partner, Southwest Jewish Congress. Today's webinar features Miriam Zivin, one of the founding members of the Dallas-Fort Worth Mothers Against Antisemitism chapter, or MACA, and she's also on their national board. Miriam was born in Canada and completed the last 2 years of high school in Israel. She has a master's in education, and she also served in the Israel Defense Forces, the IDF. As the mother of 2 university students, she has been actively involved in Jewish campus life across various universities. In response to the events of October the 7th, 2023, Miriam became aware of Mothers Against College Antisemitism, or MACA, a grassroots movement that has evolved into a nationwide nonprofit organization dedicated to combating antisemitism on college campuses through advocacy, education, and calls to action. Please use the Q&A Zoom feature to submit your questions during the webinar. We'll have time at the end for questions. And now we'll hear from Miriam Zivin about MACA, who they are and what they do. Miriam?
Thank you. Thank you guys for letting me be here today. I'm sharing my screen, so hopefully everybody can see.
There you go.
Got it. Okay. Mothers Against College Antisemitism. Mothers Against College Antisemitism is nationwide. We have a chapter here in Dallas. We are 3 members who started it, myself, Andrea Faskin, and Jerry Cohen. Between us, we are a teacher, a speech language pathologist, and an attorney. We have 8 children between us, 4 of them in college, 2 are already adults, and 2 are in K through 12. So we are constantly active and alert with everything going on. Let's get to the nitty-gritty. So everybody remembers what happened on October 7th of 2023. Let's take a look at what happened from October 8th on. If you had to look at this picture and guess where in the world it was, what would be the first place that comes to your mind? Some people might say,
the United States.
Where would you say?
Not the United States.
Not the United States.
Hopefully.
Well, believe it or not, this is actually at University of North Texas. This was one event that happened after October 7th. You can see the Free Palestine rally. You can see students going out and marching. This is a public university, a tier 1 research school with over 47,000 students and a population of maybe 500 Jewish students. The next slide I'm going to show you is an event that took place during Israel Week of 2024, which is a week that celebrates everything to do with Israel that's usually hosted by Hillel. This event was during a Skype or a Zoom interaction with an IDF Army person in Israel. It wasn't even in person. And there were protesters that came into this meeting. Not only were they protesting in person, but in order to attend this Skype or Zoom event, you had to register. And there were a certain number of seats available. And once word got out in the university that Hillel and Jewish students were going to have a meeting with an IDF soldier, what a lot of these SJP students did is they bought out all the tickets for this event so that there could be no Jewish representation, students or otherwise, at this event. You see this one student here had to be initially escorted out by police officers. And you can see that all of these chairs here are empty. So the students who did not want to hear from an IDF person bought out all of these spots or reserved them so that there could be no Jewish presence at this meeting. This is the event that I was referencing earlier, just two short examples of protests happening at the University of North Texas. So this was on April of 2024. No killers on my campus. Project Zionist is not normalization. These are just snapshots of what some of our students, Jewish and non-Jewish, have to deal with every day at the UNT campus. This next slide is a picture of a talk that was given by a tenured professor in the history department of UNT entitled Palestinian Children and the Politics of Genocide. Okay, Dr. Nancy Stockdale is not only a tenured professor in the history department, she is also the faculty sponsor for the Students for Justice in Palestine. This event was promoted, advertised, and attended by staff, faculty, and students at UNT. We had Jewish people, Jewish presence attending this event as well. And during the discussion, when questions were asked, such as where does this professor stand on Hamas and what Hamas did on October 7th, she completely put aside the question and refused to answer. And when Jewish people at the event tried to ask questions, they were immediately booed and heckled. All right, I'm going to play you this also at UNT. Okay, so if anybody for 1 minute thinks that it's only the Ivy Leagues or the East Coast or West Coast universities that are seeing these horrific events, people need to know what's going on right here in our own backyard, less than 30 minutes away. Everything that started on the East Coast after October 7th, we all know where the funding came from. We all know what's pushing these events. SJP is a cancer, one of the many that's spread across the college campuses. And this is just a snippet of what our university students here have to deal with. SJP UNT, again, a very active organization on campus. These are just some of the events that are hosted by them. Again, promoted very well by the university, college professors, faculty, staff, students alike. And they have no problem getting these events shown on campus, whereas student organizations that are Jewish have a much more difficult time hosting events on campus, even starting groups on campus. For example, the Students Supporting Israel, that was an organization that tried to start up last year, took over 7 months to officially begin because more than 30 professors did not want to be the faculty sponsor for that student group. It took over 30 faculty to finally find one professor who agreed to be the sponsor for the Students Supporting Israel. So just to tell you what these students are up against, not only did they have to go through seeing this on campus, but when a few Jewish students try to get together and start an organization, this is the kind of resistance that they are up against. They are not helped, they are not encouraged, they are deterred, and they are forced to overcome many obstacles in order to help other Jewish students feel secure and safe on campus. And this is absolutely unacceptable. So again, these days of rage that happen all throughout college campuses, again, promoted by the Students for Justice in Palestine. Not only Dr. Stockdale, but Dr. Armentor, who is a tenured professor at the university as well. You see how she walks around campus in her keffiyeh. She is the faculty sponsor for the Youth for Democratic Socialists of America. She is also the spokesperson in Dallas for the Jewish Voice for Peace. And she is also a member of the EPIC Board Committee. So the East Plano Islamic Center Committee, the EPIC Part 2 that is being built right outside of UNT in Denton. She is a very vocal member of that group. And again, tenured professor at the university. So imagine a student in her classroom. Imagine a Jewish student in her classroom. She is a woman who claims to be the daughter of Holocaust survivors. So you can only imagine how intimidated and scared these Jewish students must feel on campus, having this as an example of the faculty. 83% of Jewish college students have experienced or witnessed anti-Semitism firsthand since October 7th. Absolutely unacceptable. I mean, there are just no words. These statistics speak for themselves. Again, this is everywhere. This is not getting any better. This is not going away. This is something that should be a main priority for everybody, whether you have kids in college, kids in high school, kids in middle school. We all know that by the time these students get to college, they have already been indoctrinated. This hatred of Jews, hatred of Israel, we see starting well before college. So even though Mothers Against College Antisemitism, our focus is to try and help these students on college campus, this is a hands-on deck for everybody and should be a wake-up call that this indoctrination is starting much earlier than college campus. And oftentimes, by the time these students get to college, they don't want to hear anything else. They already have it set in their mind who Jews are, what Israel is, what it represents, and you cannot engage in conversations with them. At these hostile events on college campuses, the students will go around and tell other students, who they might refer to as their comrades, not to engage with anybody who's trying to have a discussion with them. They will say, if you try and come up and have a discussion with them, just to find out, what is apartheid? What is genocide? Where have you learned all of these terms? They are told by their comrades, do not engage in any conversation. So again, by the time a lot of these kids get to college campuses, their mind is set and it is very difficult to pierce that veil of hatred. All right, so coming back to where MACA started, it was started by Elizabeth Rand. She is a mother in New York who was going through the college process with her son and was blown away at how the rise of anti-Semitism had grown since October 7th. Here in Dallas-Fort Worth, we started our little chapter in December of 2024. Our mission as a whole nationally, we are a 501c3 nonprofit grassroots organization. Started as a Facebook page. We're over 61,000 members on the Facebook page. Our mission is to safeguard Jewish students, combat anti-Semitism on college campuses in the United States. We focus on advocacy, education, and calls to action, aiming to create a safer and more inclusive environment for Jewish students. And as you can see from the previous slides, how desperately this is needed. So it started again as a Facebook group. We have our Maccabees on the ground, which myself, Jerry, and Andrea are big partners with. We go on campus. If there's protests, we stand with the Jewish students. We do what's called sticker stings, where we have our own stickers created that are pro-Jewish, pro-Israel. We will either take off anti-Semitic or anti-Zionist stickers, or we will just place our own stickers on top. We wash off graffiti. We wash off sidewalk chalk. We do everything we can to help protect the Jewish and non-Jewish students on campus. We have letter writing campaigns that go nationwide to congresspeople, senators, The TEA, for example, university presidents and the like, we advocate on campus, meeting with the presidents of the university, faculty, staff, and we also have advocates and legislation help as well. So going to Austin to promote pro-Israel and pro-Jewish agendas to help our students. Advocacy and education, again, is a big point for us. We want to protect all Jewish students. We have call to action letters that are circulated that anybody can sign to help do that. We focus on specific campuses. For example, UTD and UNT are in our backyard and very problematic. And we are nonpartisan because we do believe that this supersedes any political party. This should be an area that political, Republican, Democrat, everybody should be on board with this because we are talking about the future of the Jewish students and the Jews in general. This is a picture that was taken of a Dallas Run for Their Lives group, of which I am also a member. We walk every Sunday to remember the hostages. We say a prayer for the hostages, for the state of Israel, for the IDF, and we have posters and pictures that we walk with. For this particular event, our Dallas group had some members join a hostage walk Run for Their Lives at UNT campus. So we kind of consolidated the Run for Their Lives walk to also show support for the Jewish students at UNT, and we combined the events. So you see hostage posters in the back, Never Again with all the pictures of the hostages, signs, Free the Hostages. It was an incredible turnout. And of course, you had the sporadic anti-Israel students wearing keffiyehs that were shouting, but they were in the background and we did not pay them any attention. This was outside one of the events during the Israel Week last week. This is Jerry, one of our co-founding members as well, trying to engage with these students who, as I've said, by the time they've gotten to college, they've already had 12 plus years of anti-Israel, anti-Zionist rhetoric rushing around in their head, and they don't want to engage in any kind of discussion. So this is Jerry trying to engage with them and try and learn who told you all of this, which are the professors that you've heard genocide, apartheid, colonialists, where are you getting all this? And lo and behold, these students did identify the two problematic professors that we talked about previously, which is Armentor and Stockdale, both tenured professors at the university. This is Jerry and myself at a presentation with the Dallas Jewish Community Fund. One of the tabling events that we do, we have brochures about MACA. We advertise the speaking events that we offer to the community. We bring in a variety of speakers, not only to the Jewish community and non-Jewish community as a whole, but for the Jewish college students and any students really who want to come and learn facts, learn how to dispute and debunk all the lies and myths that are going around campus. So anytime that we are invited to do a tabling event, we are more than happy to come and show off some of the events that we do and try and educate as many people as we can about our mission. This is Jerry and her daughter Lily, who at the time was a TAM student. So with the I believe it was the STEM program that they had at UNT. She was actually a high school senior at the time, but she attended UNT and she was the president of the Hillel at UNT. This was the spring fundraiser, the previous fundraiser that we had for DFW MACA. We brought in Professor Timothy Jackson, who is a music theory professor at UNT and the one and only professor who agreed to be the faculty sponsor for the students supporting Israel. So again, the Jewish students had to go through over 30 professors until they found Professor Jackson, who agreed to be the faculty sponsor for the organization. So he came, students from UNT came as well, to discuss what it is like for them being a Jewish student on college campus after October 7th. These are some of the community speaking events that we had. Gil Hoffman is the editor, executive director for a group called Honest Reporting, if you're not familiar with it. They are the incredible news outlet that calls out all of the lies that other news outlets are reporting. So Gil Hoffman, who's also, I believe, speaking at the INF conference, an
Yes.
incredible asset, incredible person to follow. He came out and talked to us about the threat and the fight that Israel and the Jewish people are facing online with the hatred through public relations and the internet. Ron Bar Yoshafat is an attorney. He is an IDF reservist who came out to speak to the community just having been out of Gaza. He is actually on his 7th round of reserves as we speak. He gave us literally stories from his experience on the ground, going house to house in Gaza, and completely objective from his experience, what he saw happening on the ground in Gaza. So gave us pictures, gave us stories. Absolutely incredible speaker. He will be back in November too. So stay tuned for that. Again, these are the Run for Their Lives events that Mothers Against College Antisemitism partnered with. The 2-year anniversary, unfortunately, of October 7th is coming up. That will be a big event through the Federation, but Mothers Against College Antisemitism, our DFW chapter, is sponsoring the walk in the morning with the Run for Their Lives. So if anybody would like to join us, unfortunately, that's where we are now. But, we just keep fighting the fight.
Miriam, can I ask you a
Of
question right
course.
now? Because you mentioned the Maccabees.
Yes.
What's your work? How can the listeners to this program support MACA's work, or would they become Maccabees? Do they sign up on Facebook? How do they get involved to support your work?
Thank you so much for asking, Maura. I would encourage anybody who is interested in volunteering, learning more about what we do, to email me. And I can either add the email in a chat.
Please do.
Yes. And we are present on Facebook. We have an Instagram account, which I'll be showing as well. So just reach out to me. I can give anybody who's interested all the information, put them on our newsletter, give them flyers about upcoming events and things that we're doing, and encourage anybody who wants to get involved. We go to campus as Maccabees. We sometimes caravan or carpool. So if somebody doesn't want to drive all the way to UNT, they can meet me. I will drive them. So anybody who wants to volunteer in any way possible, reach out to me and we will absolutely make that happen.
Does MACA coordinate with any other groups?
We do. We work a lot with Stand With Us.
Okay.
We have worked with Hillel as well. And of course, we're helping the SSI get started at UNT. We work with the local Chabads and with SMU, the Hillel and Chabad on campus there as well.
So tell me about a successful result that MACA has had, and then contrast that with one of the most stubborn, ignorant situations you've had to deal with. I mean, just start with the best one. Can you share with us? And it doesn't necessarily have to be your local MACA,
Right.
across the country.
Right.
MACA's nationwide. So what's a success story?
Well, I mean, we're very fortunate. We have had not only local success here with students coming out and thanking us so much for bringing in presenters and being present on campus, but not a day goes by that on the big Facebook group, a parent reports, "My child is so grateful for your support on campus. This Facebook group has given me so much hope, so much education, so much more knowledge." Parents now feel a lot more empowered when looking for schools for their students. They know, what the on the ground feeling is with Jewish students, and they can take that into consideration when looking at schools for their own students.
You
Um,
mentioned a chapter, the SJP, the Students for Justice
yes.
in Palestine. Would that be kind of like a red alert, any campus with an SJP chapter to avoid because
I
you're
would
for
say
that?
yes. Yeah, I would definitely say yes. But here's the thing, it's not just SJP. There's American Muslims Association. There's the Young Democratic Social Organization, socialist organizations. The SJP is a big, very well known, but all of these organizations either work with SJP or essentially have rebranded themselves into other groups. So, yes, you could avoid schools with SJP, but that's not to say that there aren't other groups who are promoting the same ideals um, and pushing the same agenda.
Okay.
So some groups who have had their SJP disband will just rebrand themselves and come back as another organization.
And can you talk a little bit, and by the way, you can minimize your background. You don't have to
Oh,
share anymore if you don't want. Can you talk a little bit about some of the funding that you've observed from MACA, about the funding from the Muslim Brotherhood in Qatar into these universities, how overwhelming those dollars are? Can you speak to
mhm.
that a little bit?
Sure. Well, the biggest effect that we are seeing on college campuses from all of this Qatar funding is in the professors and the programming that comes in. So, with the money that comes in from Qatar and other bad actors, they also infuse these campuses with their own professors, with their own faculty, with their own staff. And with this staff comes their own agenda. So,
Propaganda, you mean?
sorry?
Propaganda, you mean?
Yes. And they hijack existing curriculum to push their own agenda and their own ways of indoctrinating. So, for an example, taking the Israel component out of the Judaic Studies and Israel department is a huge red flag. You can already see how the Judaic Studies program has been taken over to push aside a unwanted aspect, which might be Israel, and create something else that is funneled by Qatar money and pushed by professors like Stockdale and Armentor to further isolate the Jewish students.
So we have a comment from a participant that there are SJP groups all over the Metroplex in Dallas,
Mhm.
the UNT, UTD, UTA at Arlington, and SMU. You mentioned that you are coordinating with other groups. Has there been any effort as all these groups together, their power, their clout, to go to these different universities and say, you need to disband SJP, knowing full well they may morph into another group, but at least it puts them on alert, no can do in these college campuses. Have you thought of that as a strategy?
Absolutely, yes. And I mentioned you and I were speaking earlier. Andrea, Jerry, and myself have met twice with the president of the University of North Texas, and we have a third meeting coming up. And one of our big, most important asks of the president, after bringing him a compiled dossier of evidence showing the damage that SJP has done nationwide and at UNT in particular, we are going to ask that steps be taken to either suspend or completely disband SJP at UNT.
Great. And,
Yeah,
and, and you can stop sharing your screen. So
sure.
tell me, what can MACA do to make it socially unacceptable to be an anti Semite, a Jew hater?
So, what we do primarily at MACA is to bring in educators, activists, and influencers to help empower our students, to give them the facts and knowledge that they need to be able to support and defend themselves if they are ever confronted by somebody who is attacking them verbally, physically, in any way to criticize Israel or being Jewish. So, the speakers that we have brought in starting last semester are from different varieties. We have had Christians, we have had Muslims, we have had from the LGBTQ community, everybody coming in with their own perspective and knowledge, but essentially giving these kids tools to say, what you are telling me is not true, and I have the facts to support it, and here is why. Here is why Israel is not an apartheid state. Here is why there is no genocide being committed in Israel. Here is why Israelis are not colonialists. So, giving them, even if they don't have to use this on a daily basis to encounter when they're encountering a protester, just giving these kids the knowledge and tools that they need to know that they are in the right, they have the facts to support the evidence, has been very empowering from them. And this is nationwide, not just here in North Texas.
So, if you were to say to the listeners here, what's one thing you would like them to understand about supporting Jewish students on campus today? And that's
Mhm.
unfortunately our last question.
What is what is
One
one
thing you'd like our listeners to understand
right,
about what they could do to
right.
support Jewish students on campus today.
Absolutely. Please get involved. Please get involved in any way, shape, or form. There's many ways you can do it. It is an all hands on deck issue that is not going away. It's not getting any better. For the sake of our Jewish children now and in the future, we have to put all our differences aside and focus our energy on empowering, educating, and protecting the future generations.
And those actions include calling your state legislature, calling the
Absolutely.
school's administration, calling your high school's
Yep.
administration, asking about the curriculum,
Yes.
contact, if it's in Texas, contacting the Texas Education Agency. There's also the Texas Holocaust, Anti-Semitism, and Genocide Advisory Commission, copying them. So they are calling the White House
Yes.
even. There is a
Yes. Every act of anti-Semitism that anyone encounters needs to be brought to someone's attention. It can no longer be swept under the rug and pretend that it doesn't happen. We have to stand up and take action now.
wonderful. Miriam, thank you so much for your
Thank
work
you, guys.
and all that MACA has accomplished. And we have
Thank you.
seen how this Jew hate morphs into violence against Jews. So what you do is even more important than ever.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And
Thank
thank you
you.
everyone for attending. We look forward to seeing you again at our next webinar with Dr. David Patterson, who holds a distinguished chair at the University of Texas at Dallas on Thursday, October the 16th at 12 p.m. Central. And he's going to be talking on Islam and anti-Semitism. And we'll see you in Plano, Texas on November the 16th for the all-day Israel Now Forum, where you can hear more from experts on Israel today. The website is israelnowforum.org. Thanks and bye for now.
Thank you.